Hi there, it's Debbie from Celestial Astrology Healing, and this is part two of the new moon in Scorpio Samhaine celebration. I did part one, talked about the map of the heavens. I talked about Samhaine, honoring our ancestors, and I gave delineations for all signs of the zodiac. However, when I was putting in the timestamps, unfortunately, after Taurus, things started going awry. I did Gemini twice, and then yeah, anyway, I wasn't happy with it. So this is part two. And in this shorter video, I'll give all the delineations for the signs of the zodiac. So listen in for your ascendant, if you know your time of birth, or you can listen in for your sun or your moon. And I'll just share a couple of images just before I start. So just to start with, this is the symbol of Scorpio, the glyph of Scorpio, which looks like an M with an arrow on the end. And this is a scorpion who's got the hard armor protecting the soft inside and the sharp tail ready for any threat, which can be symbolized by this arrow here. And I believe this is a constellation of Scorpio in the heavens. There's two rulers of Scorpio. This new moon is at 9 degrees Scorpio, 35 minutes. And we have the traditional ruler and we have the ancient ruler. So let's bring up which one ever comes up first. Yeah, so this is Hades, god of the underworld. He is Pluto. He is the modern ruler. And I gave a description of the archetypal symbology of Pluto representing control and power as he abducted Persephone, who is taken into his underworld here, introducing her to the pleasures of the body. So Pluto is a very strong deity and represents control and power and what's hidden and suppressed and secrets and deep suppressed hidden taboo topics related to sex and power and pleasures and things like that. He is one of the rulers of the Scorpio new moon on the 1st of November. And here's god of the war, Mars. He goes to battle. He rules Aries. He likes to protect and fight and take his armor and yield his sword, protecting others, going to the battlefield. He doesn't mind conflict. He's about the masculine principle of assertion and doing and action. And quite often he would martyr himself in the protection of others. So that's the rulers of this Scorpio new moon. And I will now bring up the chart of the heavens of the new moon. So bear with me. It says resume, just screen sharing is paused. I thought that meant I was paused in the recording. So I'm going to pause the recording 1 second. Just to say thank you for bearing with me. Everything I do on YouTube is basically self-taught, and therefore I seem to make quite a lot of mistakes. I'm not perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. And I've taken down about an hour or so's recording because I wasn't happy with it. So this is now going into the different delineations for the different signs of the zodiac. And now I've got customers coming in. So I'm going to try and pause this recording 1 second. False alarm. So basically, let me bring up, this is the wheel of the chart of the heavens, which is a map of the heavens at the time of this new moon in Scorpio. And here we've got the sun and the moon. That's what happens at new moon at 9 degrees, 35 minutes, co-present with Mercury. There's a lot of different activity going on in the heavens, including, let me bring up my annotate tool again. So that's not the one. We've got the sun and the moon always at the same degree and minute of conjunction. We've got Mercury here, co-present, just about to go into Sagittarius. Mercury is at 28 degrees, 13 minutes. There are grand trines going on. We've got Mars, one of the rulers, in trine to Neptune, and Mercury, and Mercury is in trine to Neptune. This is a grand water trine, and Neptune is in trine to Mars. And then we've got some kite activity going on because we've got Uranus in trine to Mars, Uranus at 25 degrees Taurus. We've got Uranus in trine to Neptune, or Neptune in trine to that. And we've also got Pluto in trine. This makes another kite aspect, 60 degrees. So the 60-degree aspect is the nature of Venus. It's harmonious. There's potential there. And trines are the nature of Jupiter, and that's also a supportive energy flowing in this water trine and the kite. And as I was saying in my last video, which didn't work out as I'd hoped, I got up especially early to do it as well. I don't like that tick. I was trying to put in a wee star. So if you have any planets between, it's not doing a star, is it? Yeah, there's a star. If you have any personal planets in your birth chart, if you know your own birth chart at around 24 degrees to the end of Virgo, this would also create another sextile, creating a beautiful hexagon shape. So that would be going up here. And then that would be also, those planets would be trining Neptune. So you can see this hexagon shape in the heavens. And I've actually got planets here. So I feel like this is potentially quite a fortuitous energy in the heavens. But at the same time, as all these positive energies going on, we've got the god of war in opposition from the anaretic degree of Cancer, where he's in full, to the Pluto, god of the underworld, who is at the anaretic degree of Capricorn. So these are very powerful energies in the heavens. And this is what I'm going to focus on for all the different signs of the zodiac. This is my second time recording, as I've said, so I am planning to make this very brief. That might suit quite a few of you because I've heard that it's too long for you, my videos. The last video is an hour and 40 minutes, 1 hour, 40 minutes. So I've cropped that down for an introduction talking about Samhaine. So go and look for that if you're interested. I'm also putting out an offer for when I reach 1,000 subscribers, that I will give a free reading either by live recorded Zoom or pre-recorded Zoom. So please press my subscribe button, leave a comment below so that I'm aware of you. And if you do comment, that helps the algorithm, that helps me, it helps reward my time and efforts, which are many, even though it doesn't work out like that quite often with glitches. But then, you know, we either give up and say, oh, forget it, I'm taking it down, or I'm trying again. So I'm persevering here. So thank you so much. If you can subscribe to my channel, like or leave a comment below. And when I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm at 951 subs at the moment. Then I will give away a free reading. So thank you. So let's just talk about this. Aries, welcome to your new moon in Scorpio video. This shows that the new moon is in, let me get my notes, the 8th house, which is the house of, well, in modern astrology, this is seen as quite a dark house. It's the house of Scorpio. If you follow Aries as the first sign of the zodiac, Taurus, second sign, this is one way of looking at it. The 8th house can be about mysteries, secrets, taboo, sex, death, psychology. All of those things are very scorpionic anyway, and this new moon is happening in this house. In ancient astrology, the 8th house is seen to be about joint resources, shared resources, money from your partner, money that comes in from others that want to support you because they hold you in high esteem, they value you. It can be about inheritances as well. So there may be something new coming in here, and this new moon, if you plant seeds of intention, may come to fruition, where it's, you know, high in the heavens 6 months later on the 12th of May 2025. And then when we look at the opposition between Mars, where are you, Mars? There you are. You're in one of the angles of the house, 29 degrees, anaretic degree. And then this is the house of home and family, this Cancerian house. And Mars is very protective in Cancer, which is ruled by the moon. Mars is a guest of the moon who is very changeable because of that serpentine nature. So Cancerian significations are about protection. You think about the crab who carries the home on her back. She's tender inside, like Scorpio's tender inside, hiding feelings, feeling deep intensity and emotions. It's a water sign, it's emotions. Mars in Cancer can be volatile because there's that strong protective mother bear energy, and topics around home and family, with Mars in the 4th house of home and family, ancestry, lineage, property. There could be some conflict going on here. And then you've got Pluto up in this 10th house of praxis, very visible high in the heavens at the anaretic degree, which would suggest, Aries, that there are some massive changes and endings and, you know, purging out and letting go. It may be related to your reputation, your social status. That might be, okay, I'm married, now I'm not going to be married. It may be about your career and things that you do in the public sphere of life. So you've had Pluto in this Capricorn 10th house at this for 15 years. So there's a tension between Mars and Pluto. There can be a tug of war energy. However, if you can balance the two and find that fulcrum point, there may be a way to use your power and try to navigate these tense energies related to home and family, and then the visibility in the public world. And because Mars is spending such a long time in Cancer, around 6 months instead of about 6 weeks, these Mars will be going into Leo and then retrograding back into Cancer on the 8th of January and the 15th of April. Obviously, the heavens will be shifting around, so it won't be to the same aspects right now, but the same topics of protection, home, family, safety, property, all of these things are going to be relevant for you, Aries. So I hope that's helpful. Please leave a comment below if you're able. Like, share, subscribe to my channel is really welcome. Thank you so much. Swiftly moving on to Taurus. Taurus, this new moon is very dynamic for you because it is in the 7th house of your personal relationships. Let me get the circle, trying to talk and annotate. So here we go. This new moon in the 7th house, this is about dynamic personal relationships, which can be related to romantic partners, ex-partners, can be about business partners. I'm trying to get an arrow and it's not letting me do an arrow. Yeah, so this new moon can be bringing up some intense feelings around close and personal relationships. And when Scorpio energy is in the shadow side, when we're not feeling safe and balanced, this could be expressed as fearful insecurities, possessiveness, jealousy, holding on. Yeah, just, you know, it takes away, you know, all the negative experiences that we can feel may be highlighted. So just being aware of that. This is giving you an opportunity to change and plant seeds of some new type of relationship. And when Scorpio works well, it can be very focused and sensitive and passionate. So these topics are being raised for you, Taurus. And when we look at the opposition of the planet Mars, in your 3rd house of Cancer, this has been going on for some time with Mars in Cancer and will be here for 6 months in total, because Mars will be retrograding back from Leo in January, on the 8th of January 2025 and the 15th of January 2025. So topics around your neighborhood, your communications, your short journeys, maybe to do with some sort of education, or it may be to do with some sibling relationships or distant relatives. There may be some sort of tension and conflict here, but something protective about home and family in your daily life and your interactions and communications is in opposition to Pluto up here in the 9th house. Mars is in the 3rd house of the joy of the moon, the house of the goddess, and Pluto is in the house, the joy of the sun, the house of God, which is related to your belief systems, your spirituality, your psychology. So with Pluto up here, having been in this house of Capricorn for 15 years, there could be some real endings and new beginnings related to your belief system. Maybe you're finding a new spiritual path, but you need to let go, purge out, and also step into something new in the future. there's a tense energy here until Pluto moves into your 10th house again of Aquarius on, I think it's the 19th of November, where it will stay. He will stay for about 20 years. So it's the very last hurrah of this Pluto dynamic here. And if you are involved in any court cases, solar figures can be represented by those in authority. So court cases, it can show some sense that there's something coming to a peak here. This is a critical degree, Taurus. So let me know if any of that resonates with you. Thank you so much. Like, share, subscribe if you're able. When I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away a free reading. Thank you so much. It all helps. Everybody's individual energy helps. So new moon here for Gemini ascendant. In my last video, Geminis, I did it twice, which is quite good, isn't it? The duality. I do it for this twin and I do it for this twin. I didn't know if I was recording, so that's quite funny. But Gemini ascendant, or sun or moon, if you know your time, if you don't know your time of birth. This new moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees 35 minutes is happening in what was called in ancient times the joy of Mars, and it's to do with your daily life, your routines, your rituals, which now can be, you know, supplanted by work, daily grind, mundane chores. It can be service to others, self-sacrifice, and it's also related to your health. It was called the house of bad fortune because it was the house of servitude and servants in the past. So now we superimpose that into like, okay, daily life, work, service, what we do for others. So it can be about self-sacrifice. And with Scorpio energy here, it may be that you are now focusing on something new for the future that may come to culmination at full moon on the 12th of May, 2025. Because this is when, you know, these new topics that you may be putting in place may become more visible at this point of completion, or at least visibility. There may be new regimes around your own health that you're putting into place or getting things diagnosed, because it's about things that lie beneath Scorpio. So that may be relevant for you, Gemini. And then we've got the house, Cancerian house here with Mars at the anaretic degree, all about protection, home, family, and your self-worth, what you're able to do to make this possible around the topics of your skills and finances and resources. So you've got this powerful mother bear energy highlighting topics of your own self-worth that you can bring to the table to protect and use your skills to create security and finances. Opposite Pluto, Hades, god of the underworld, up here in the house of the joy, well, what is it? The house of the esteem of others in ancient astrology, or about joint finances, or about partners and karmic debt, what you bring to the table, what your partner brings to the table, how that's balanced. There's something ending here, big shifts, big changes happening here, and it's about getting the balance between yourself and shared relationships. This can also be related to income, such as inheritances and things like that, but there's some definite tension going on here between the 2nd and 8th house. So it's about finding that balance, and Mars will be retrograding back into Cancer again on the 8th of January and the 15th of April next year, and you've been feeling this energy very strong because Mars has been spending quite a bit of time. Mars has to work really hard in Cancer because Mars is in fall. So being aware of these topics can help you be more conscious about your decision making for the future. So I hope that's helpful for you, Gemini. Thank you for listening. Please press the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, or leave a comment to help the algorithm, and you may be in for a free reading once I reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. Moving on to Cancer. So this is where I went wrong in my last chart. This is your new moon in Scorpio reading, Cancer. We've got the new moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees 35 in the 5th house of good fortune, Venus's joy. This is all about your own pleasures, where you find joy in life, where you can express your creativity. whatever that means for you, Cancer. If it's music, art, dance, sport, you know, risk-taking, love, romance, all of these topics in Scorpio here are being highlighted. So this is a potential for new beginnings in this topic of, it can be about sex, romance, pregnancy, children, a new beginning for some of you Cancerians, perhaps, because Scorpio can be seen as a sexual sign. It's very deep and intense, and magnetic attractions during romance might be fired up at this time of the new moon in Scorpio on the 1st of November, which may peak and come to some sort of sense of visibility around the 12th of May 2025, when there's a full moon 6 months later. And when we look at the dynamics of the rulers of this full moon, Mars has really been activating your first house. This is all about you. The first house is about being at the helm of the ship in ancient astrology. It's about your identity, your psychology, your vitality, your mentality, the way you show yourself in the world, visibility, how you express yourself and your personality. So you've had some tricky energies going on with Mars in the first house, because Mars is in fall in Cancer. So you could be, it could show itself in various ways, because Mars can inflame and irritate. You may find that you've been more accident prone with Mars in the first house, bashing yourself, burning yourself, cutting yourself. So take care of yourself, because this Mars will be coming back into this second house again on the 8th of January, on the first house, sorry, will be coming back to Cancer in activating your first house, because Mars is retrograding back on the 8th of January 2025 and the 15th of April 2025. Mars will soon be going into Leo, which will, cause different energies in Leo. But Mars is, mother bear, protective. You may feel quite sensitive about how you show up, and you may feel like a warrior and needing to feel safe, and home and family and security may be really highlighted at this time. And Mars is in opposition to the dynamic Pluto at the anaretic degree. They're both at the anaretic degree, 29 degrees. And this is the first house, which is a kentron of the chart, an angle opposite Pluto at 29 degrees, and the 7th house of Capricorn, which is about your personal relationships. So Cancer may be about, you've maybe gone through many different changes, through cycles of endings and beginnings and letting go and starting again, because Pluto's been in this 7th house of Capricorn for about 15 years, and he's at this very, very critical degree, working these things out about yourself and other and power dynamics, and finding your own strength, but not being too overreactionary with your Cancerian Mars responses, which can be quite volatile. But then Pluto can be a power tripper as well, so what does that mean, having Pluto in that house? So leave a comment below, let me know how you're experiencing that, if that feels true for you. Subscribe if you haven't, with a chance to win a reading with me, a free reading, if I reach 1,000, not if I reach, hopefully when I reach 1,000 subscribers. Many thank you, many thanks. So Leo, welcome to your new moon in Scorpio delineation here. This is in a very dynamic area of your life, because the new moon is in the 4th house. Again, it's one of the kentrons, one of the angles of the chart. 1st house, 7th house, 4th house, 10th house anchors the chart with these, 90 degrees oppositions. And when you have any planets in one of these angles, which you do here with the new moon in Scorpio, it means that this new moon is speaking much louder, and it's around topics of home. The 4th house is about your resting place. It's about security, ancestry, which is quite prominent at this time of the Halloween, Samhaine. Go back to my first video if you'd like to listen more about how we can honor our ancestors. But it is about home, family, roots, where you belong. And for some of you Leos, this new moon in Scorpio may trigger an idea of needing or wanting to make a new beginning in your home environment, which may mean a change in where you live, which may come to fruition, culminating around the 12th of May 2025. And then we also have Mars, the ancient ruler, in the place of Saturn's joy, because this is the first house. The first house is where you're in control. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th house. This is the furthest place from being in control. So this is a house of self-undoing. It's a place of Saturn's joy, the most distant planet of the solar system, as seen with the naked eye by the ancient ones. So this is a hidden place of hidden psychology, what's done behind the scenes. And, you know, there's a lot of tension with Mars at this anaretic degree in Cancer around topics of, you know, protection, family, safety, security, which you've maybe been processing behind the scenes, and you may feel out of control in the 12th house here. And Mars is in opposition to Pluto at the anaretic degree in your everyday life, work, service, self-sacrifice. This is a really tense position with these two dynamic, powerful energies: Mars, god of war, Pluto, god of the underworld. And Pluto can make really deep cathartic changes. And this may be related to your health as well. You may be needing to purge out and release and let go and purify and make changes for the benefit of your health for the future, because Pluto can allow, if we trust that process of facing the darker shadows, things that we suppress that need to come out, to be released, to be allowed to vent out, and then they can be dissipated with a sense of just like purification and renewal, to start again with a sense of new regeneration. So I hope that's helpful. It's hard to give really highly positive readings when there's dynamic energies, but there are trines going on in the heavens. If you listen back to my first video, that's when I talked about the grand water trines and the kites. So go back to my first video if you'd like to hear more. Thank you so much. Press like and subscribe if you can. Once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm giving away a free reading. Thank you so much. Leave a comment below as well if you'd like to. That also helps the algorithm. So welcome, Virgo. This is, let me see. Aha, I can see now what went on in the last chart, because I'm looking at my notes and my notes are incorrect. So Virgo, let me just correct that. This new moon is happening in your 3rd house. And it says, I'm not telling you what it says. So this new moon in Scorpio, Virgo, is happening in your 3rd house, which is around daily interactions and communications within your local environment. It could be to do with siblings or friends that you treat as family, or distant relatives, something new here, a new seed that you can plant, or it might represent a new course of some sort of study in education that you undertake at this time. And also, where is the opposition of Mars? Mars is in Jupiter's joy, which is about your long-term goals and wishes and hopes. It's in a tricky position because Mars is in fall in Cancer, so the energies may be quite heightened and a little bit emotional volatility, which may be expressed in your groups and friendships and membership groups of your networks. So just be aware of these energies where you may be feeling highly protective either of people that are in your close networks or around family topics. And Mars will be spending about 6 months in total in Cancer, right at the anaretic degree, moving into Leo, but retrograding back into Cancer, into this area of life, highlighting these topics again around your long-term wishes and plans and goals and friendship groups. But there could be some conflict here going on, but moving back in on the 8th of January 2025 and the 15th of April 2025. And then Pluto is in opposition from another benefic house. This is the house of Venus's joy. So she is the lesser benefic, but it's around topics of your pleasures, can be about romance, creativity and entrepreneurship. So you've had, Virgo, Pluto activating this house of related to, you know, all of those topics, as well as children, for 15 years. So there could be some intense peaking of this energy with Mars in the house of Jupiter's joy, friendship groups, and then the house of your own pleasures, or to do with children. So there's intense energies here before Pluto moves into your 6th house of Aquarius on the 19th of November. So bear in mind these topics, but things that you can plant seeds of here in your daily life and communications can come to fruition around the full moon on the 12th of May. So thank you for listening. So what I actually need to do now is just correct my notes. So let me try and find a way to, I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to pause the recording. So hi there, Libra. This is your short interpretation for the new moon in Scorpio on the 1st of November, where the sun and the moon are at 9 degrees 35 minutes Scorpio. And what we can see, this is happening in your 2nd house, which is around topics of your own resources or abilities or skills or self-worth, and how you can create, for example, finances for security for the future. So this is an opportunity to rethink these things and start planting ideas into the dark soil at this time of the dark skies of the new moon that you may be able to bring to fruition around the 12th of May 2025, some 6 months later. In 2 weeks' time, you may see some ideas. If you're trying to manifest something might start showing itself 2 weeks' time, but usually longer term, the full moon in Scorpio is on the 12th of May 2025. And the ruler of Scorpio in ancient times was Mars, and Mars is at this anaretic degree of Cancer, in a position of weakness, vulnerability around topics around protection and safety and home. And all of this is active in your very public sphere of life related to your social status. It's the 10th house of praxis, which means in Latin action. So what you're seen to do in the public sphere of your life, in the outside world, around your reputation, your work, your occupation, and your vocations in life. So Mars is spending about 6 months in this sign of Cancer. You've already had quite a lot of this energy at work, but Mars will be dipping into Leo and then retrograding back into Cancer on the 8th of January and the 15th of April. So these topics are going to be revisited and brought back into, you know, the public, you know, the sphere of your life, activating your ideas around work. There could be some conflict at work with Mars up here, because Mars is the god of war. It could be some volatile energies, but, you know, deep down what it's about is protection and safety and security for the long term, probably, because this opposition is going to your 4th house of home and family, where Hades, god of the underworld, is situated at the 29th degree of Capricorn, before he moves into Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is the anaretic degree, the 10th degree, the last things that need to come to the surface before the 19th of November, which is when Pluto will move out of this sign of Capricorn, where he's been for 15 years. So endings, new beginnings, purging out, allowing what's hidden to be released, in a sense of purging away what's no longer needed, looking at power issues, looking at control issues, to release something and an ending, so that a new path can unfold for you in the future. So I hope that's helpful for you, Libra. Please, if you haven't already, think about whether you can support me by subscribing to my channel. This helps me, helps more people find me, and helps me to continue with this lovely, passionate tool of astrology, which is there for us all to use. So if you can do that, that's great, or leave a comment below. Once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will give away a free reading. Thank you for doing that. Scorpio, Scorpio, Scorpio. Now, this is obviously going to be a very powerful new moon, because it's taken place in your 1st house. So the 1st house, see all of these sections, these 12 sections, they're called houses, just for the new to astrology friends out here. So each segment is a house. The first house in ancient astrology was seen to be called the helm of the ship. So therefore, when there's any planets in the first house, they speak really loudly. It's all about you, the self, the personality, your vitality, your psychology, your identity, how you show up in the world is very much about the first house. Other houses aren't necessarily related to just you. The second house is about your work or what you take into your body, your skills. Third house is about your local environment. Fourth house is home and family. Fifth house is your pleasures. Sixth house is work and mundane chores and self-sacrifice. Then we oppose and go to the seventh house opposite the first, which is about your shared relationships. Opposite the second is about your shared resources, money from others. Opposite the third is about wider mind, further studies, overseas shores, solar figures. Opposite the fourth is your 10th house of your social status, away from home up into the outside world. Opposite the fifth is your group activities, your long-term wishes. And opposite the sixth is the house of Saturn's joy, the hidden place. So this new moon, Scorpio, is happening in your first house, all about you, something that you can work on about how you would like to make changes and what you'd like to bring into the future and how you show up in the world. It could be a time of reinvention, of tapping into your truer inner self. At the time of this dark sky, you can think about things that you may like to manifest in how you show up in the world, which can be beneficial for the future. And these topics may come to fruition around the 12th of May when there's a full moon in Scorpio, some 6 months later. And then when we look at Mars, the ancient ruler of Scorpio, he is up here in the house of God, the joy of the sun, opposite Pluto in the house of Goddess, the joy of the moon. So these are areas of life, the higher mind, the house of your belief systems. This is what's been activated for about 6 months. You've gone through quite a bit of it already. So your belief systems and your spirituality, your philosophies in life, your sort of sense of understanding the larger picture of the meanings of life and where you belong. This is where Mars in Cancer has been activating and will be coming back in on the 8th of January and the 15th of April. So there could be some conflict around topics of your beliefs or spiritual or religious ideas. There could be, if you're traveling abroad, there could be some conflict or agitation here with Mars in Cancer in fall. And it's opposite Pluto in your everyday life, your neighborhood. Pluto's been in Capricorn for 15 years and is at the anaretic degree. So this may be related to some endings and new beginnings around your communications or with siblings or distant relatives or friends that you treat as family. There could be some power dynamics going on with this opposition because both Pluto and Mars are very dynamic deities, god of war and god of the underworld. But this is the very last chance for you to deal with this, purge out and release what's no longer needed in your local environment and neighborhood, so that you can shift and have a sense of renewal and rebirth when Pluto moves into your 4th house of home and family on the 19th of November. So I hope that's helpful for you, Scorpios. Quite exciting times ahead. Please press the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber to support me. I would really appreciate that. Or leave a comment below if that feels like some of that rings true for you. Or if it doesn't ring true, you can even just comment that. That's helpful for me too. So welcome, Sagittarius. This is your new moon in Scorpio reading, short delineation, where we can see that the sun and the moon are now in this hidden place, this house of the subconscious, the house of Saturn's joy, as I was mentioning in the previous delineation for Scorpio. The houses that we would go around the wheel anti-clockwise. This is the first house. We go around the wheel. By the time we get to the last house, it's the hidden place. It's not visible. Saturn was the most distant planet of the solar system, so it represents retreat, privacy, hidden, subconscious, your dream state, your inner messages. And you know that Scorpio antennae is very, very acute. Scorpio is very intuitive, and this new moon in Scorpio could be bringing up potential for some new beginning in some spiritual capacity, some rituals or routines that may be helpful for you, or you may start paying attention to your dreams and write down your dreams and just listen to messages that come in. That's something that you may work on, because this house can be also the house of self-undoing, because we can feel out of control in this area of life. It's like one step forward, two steps back. If you have any habits that aren't helpful to you, it can be things that you do habitually that aren't helpful to you, or it can be things that you don't do that could be helpful to you. So there's an opportunity to plant some new seeds in the dark sky, ideas that you'd like to manifest for the future that may come to fruition around the 12th of May 2025. And now let's have a little look at where Mars is in your chart, because this area is being activated. Yeah, Mars in Cancer is in your 8th house, which in ancient astrology was known to be the house of the esteem of others. So it's how others saw you and valued you. And it could be about joint finances. It could be about shared resources if you're in a relationship, or it could be about topics that you do things with others. In modern astrology, the 8th house is the mystical house, occult, dark, death, endings, taboo topics, psychology, going deep. It's about the mysteries of life. So you've got all of these energies being intensified with Mars in Cancer. Mars has been in this area of your life, activating these topics where there may have been some conflict, because Mars is the god of war. So if you're in a close relationship, it's about karmic debt. It's about weighing these things up, and the sense of protection for your family and safety. This is all Cancerian topics are going to be highlighted, and Mars will be going into Leo, but retrograding, retracing his footsteps on the 8th of January and the 15th of April next year, 2025. So these topics are going to be highlighted again, with Mars spending about 6 months instead of 6 weeks in Cancer. And then the modern day ruler of Scorpio is Pluto, who's at the anaretic degree of Capricorn, in the house which is related to your own skills, your own resources, your own abilities, your sense of self-worth. Also, what you take into your body is the 2nd house. It's about how you can create finances for the future, perhaps. And Pluto has been in this area of your life for 15 years. It's the very last opportunity for you to purge out self-doubt, find a sense of your own self-worth, your own abilities, trust the power that you have. If it's used well with intentions of positivity and sharing, it can be a beneficial thing that you discover, purging out and releasing to start something new for the future. So let me know if any of that resonates, Sagittarius, and thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. I would really appreciate that. And I will be giving away a free reading when I reach 1,000 subscribers. So only another 49 to go. Thank you so much. Hi there, Capricorn. This is your Scorpio new moon short interpretation. So Scorpio new moon is at 9 degrees, 35 minutes. Scorpio in your 11th house, which was known in ancient times as the house of Jupiter's joy. So Jupiter, being the largest planet of the solar system, represents our hopes and our wishes and our long-term plans and our goals. And it's also related to your friendship groups, your network, community, your benefactors, allies. In ancient times, it was called the House of the Benefactors. So there's potential here for planting new seeds. Maybe it relates to new friendships that you're going to make that come to fruition at the full moon on the 12th of May 2025. What may represent that you're rethinking your long-term plans, you're going quieter, going within, listening to your intuition and the messages that Scorpio energy can bring up, using that sensitive antennae and your emotional responses, feeling into what feels right for your long-term plans for the future. So that's what's happening there. And I've already drawn in you've got some very dynamic energies going on, Capricorn. related to your 7th house of relationships. There's a fly there. Because we have Mars in Cancer at the 29th degree, which is called the anaretic degree. It's the critical degree of any sign. When a planet's there, it's like almost into the next sign, and it's like the last little push of energy and the last chance for Mars to do his things while he's at this point. So there's this sort of energy around relationships, personal relationships, and it could be about protective energies, because it's likely to be your caring, protective, nurturing energies here, because Cancer is the sign of the crab who carries her home on her back and protects that soft inner tender world, a bit like a Scorpio being the scorpion with the hard outer shell, the body armor. But also, you know, as well as having that very protective mother bear energy, it could also bring up some sort of sense of conflict, because Mars is quite volatile sometimes emotionally, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and there's that serpentine nature of the moon, which can be very changeable, and energies may fluctuate because the moon is always moving. For example, this dark moon gradually building up to, you know, like first crescent, first quarter, you know, building up, gaining light to the full moon, and then the disseminating moon last quarter, you know, balsamic, and then dark again. So that can be the fluctuations that Mars may go through in this area of your personal relationships. It could also represent your clientele if you offer services to others. So there could be some intense energies there happening, and they have been going on for quite some time, and they will continue, especially after Mars goes into Leo, which you can see shortly. 29 degrees, we're traveling anti-clockwise round. And then Mars will go back into Cancer on the 8th of January 2025 and the 15th of April 2025, culminating, you know, that full moon in Scorpio on the 12th of May, following that a month later. So house of personal relationships, where Mars, the warrior planet, is, and this Pluto, god of the underworld, is in your first house at the helm of the ship. This is the very last energies that Pluto will have to express himself, because he takes 248 years to go around the whole of the solar system, around the sun, and he's been in your first house for 15 years, and it relates to your sense of self and how you show up in the world, your identity, your personality, your appearance, your vitality. So no doubt you've been going through quite a lot of cathartic change over the last years, depending on your age, obviously. I'm not sure what age most of my viewers are. It would be interesting to hear in the chat below, in the comments. But yeah, there's intense endings, release, healing, death of the old, bringing in something new, purging out what no longer is resonating with your sense of self, because Pluto in the first house is just about you. And Pluto is about finding your power, finding that sense of balance between control and power. You know, we all want to be able to walk in our power, but it's having that sense of you know, that fine balance where it's not about having to be always holding the reins as well. So Pluto is in this first house opposite Mars in the dynamic 7th house as well. And then Pluto will be shifting into Aquarius on the 19th of November. So you've got big, exciting changes going on, Capricorn, and I hope that's helpful. As I've been asking if you can subscribe to my channel to help my channel grow. Once I reach 1,000 subscribers, that would be when I give away a free natal chart reading, birth chart reading. So thank you for doing that. If you want to help me, just leave a comment below, say if any of that resonates with you, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Something went wrong there. I was just looking for I've gone into annotate. Okay, that's not it. So I need to now, I'll show you, I'll keep the solar fire up. So let me see, I'll show you what I need to do. So stop share. This is all behind the scenes, which I prefer to hide, but as a Scorpion would. But let's see, Scorpio energy, new moon, here we go. So we were on Capricorn, now we're moving to Aquarius. I meant to, I must have pressed something else, but I need to go to Aquarius here. This is a solar fire program for professional astrologers. Contact me if you'd like a private reading. I promise that I'm not this glitchy, and I spent hours and days on personal readings. So this is my YouTube free offerings. So let's see, Aquarius. Getting the annotate tool back up. You can't see, I've got a long list of options on the left-hand side. I don't believe you can see that. But let's circle where this new moon is for you Aquarians, and it's in a very dynamic area of your life. It's in the house of public visibility, directly above at midday. This is called in Latin the house of praxis, which means action. So it's about what you are seen to do in the public sphere of life, which can be related to your status. Like, okay, you might be married, you might not be married, you might be single, you might be changing that, you might be a parent, you might be a grandparent, you might be really, really well known in your work life. You know, it's about occupation, visibility, work, reputation, vocations, charity work, whatever you do. There's this new moon in Scorpio, which is really highlighting the potential for some new beginnings up here. So for some of you Aquarians, this may mean that you're hoping to change career, plant new seeds of something for the future that you are more attuned to. So this may come to fruition around the full moon in Scorpio on the 12th of May 2025. Or it may just be something about your status changing, something new. So if you work intentionally with the moons, this is a dark sky, so wait a couple of days till there's some light, and then allow your ideas, the seeds of your intention, to come to some sense of fruition, which may happen within a couple of weeks, but more realistically, it's likely to be 6 months later. And then when we look at the opposition between the ancient ruler Mars, he is in Mars's joy at the 29th degree, the anaretic degree in Cancer, in full stressful position for any planet. Mars in Cancer, as I've mentioned in the previous interpretations, expresses his energy in a way of protection, warrior, protection, mother bear, safety, fighting for what he wants to, make safe and secure the family, home, or loyalty, all of these topics, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, and Cancer is very much about the home and security, tenderness. So there's a very strong mother bear energy going on for your Aquarians. And this is in your 6th house of Mars's joy. So we've got Mars in Mars's joy, which in ancient times was called the house of bad fortune because it was the house of servitude. So in modern times, it's more about your mundane chores, your daily routines, things that you do on a regular basis, rituals, work, toil, service, and compassion. So it's likely that you've been having a lot of this going on for you because Mars has been traveling through Cancer. And this can be about your health as well. So there could be some sense of inflammation in your own health because Mars can irritate and inflame. So I'll allow you to just focus on that. But just to say that you will have these topics coming back on the 8th of January 2025 and the 15th of April 2025, because Mars will be going into Leo and then retrograding back to these points. So Mars is spending about 6 months instead of 6 weeks in this sign of Cancer. So bringing up these topics for you to face and have the opportunity to look at them again and again. And the opposition is going to Pluto at the anaretic degree, 29 degrees Capricorn, in the house of Saturn's joy. It's the house the furthest away from the helm of the ship, the first house. We go anti-clockwise around the wheel, getting to this place of the hidden, place of retreat, your subconscious, your spiritual inner world, where your inner wealth can lie. But Pluto is about bringing up the suppressed things that are in the shadows, the darker realms of ourselves, which sometimes you think, okay, it's too much to deal with, I'm not going to face that, and it gets pushed down. But this is the very last opportunity for you to face these energies of what's being suppressed with Pluto at the anaretic degree, because Pluto will be moving into the first house of yourself and how you show up in the world, how you can walk in your power. So it's good to use these energies to purge out, release. There could be some topics around addictions that really have not been helpful for some of you Aquarians, because This house of self-undoing is where we don't feel in control and where we can just let things go. We can have bad habits, habitual practices that aren't helpful to us, not necessarily with drink and drugs, or just bad habits, things that really don't allow us to resonate and walk properly in our path and our center. Or it could be about things that you don't do that could be helpful for you. So these are the energies of this opposition, the nature of Saturn, trying to weigh up these things about everyday life and your sense of deeper inner mystical world, the house of the hidden. So let me know if any of that resonates with you, Aquarians, and thank you so much for listening. If you're able to subscribe to my channel, I'm welcoming new viewers to press the subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps me get more viewers, and I'm going to give away a free reading when I reach 1,000 subscribers. At the moment, I'm on 951 as far as I know. It's funny, sometimes the algorithm, you get more and then suddenly that goes down a bit and you're like, the people like unsubscribing because I'm rubbish at this, or, it's basically, I don't know what goes on. Sometimes YouTube does purges and gets rid of subscribers thinking that they're bots. But if you're able to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. It makes doing these videos worthwhile for me. I'm sharing my knowledge. I've done years and years of study, and I'm working as a professional astrologer now. So I'm offering my services out there. Have a look below at my website. I've got new offerings as well for shorter, more spontaneous readings, which are more affordable for some of you. So get in touch if you're interested. Thank you so much. Hey there, Pisces, patient Pisces. You're the last sign of the zodiac. When we start at the astrological new year of Aries, we go round the wheel. I'm going to just say, I've had a friend recently say, could you explain about the glyphs? So when we look at the ascendant, this is the 9 o'clock position on a clock, and this is the whole sign house system. It should say that up here, whole sign. So this is the oldest house system. So each house, and there's 12 segments, and these are all houses. The whole house is related to the sign on the cusp. This line here is called the cusp. This sign here, the glyph of Pisces, that's Pisces. That's the last sign of the zodiac. I'm just about to do your interpretation, Pisces. Thank you for waiting. I'm just going to talk about these glyphs. That's Pisces. Around the candles of the cake position, that's Aries, the ram. This is Taurus, the bull. These columns here, that's Gemini, the sign of the twins. There's 2 lines there. Cancer, it looks like a 6 and a 9 on its side. That's a sign of the crab. There's Leo here. It looks a bit like a mane of hair, or, some sort of swirly hairline, I think. That's Leo, the lion. This M here with a curvy bit, that's Virgo. Libra, the sign of the scales, is a little bit like a sun setting. Scorpio, we've talked about Scorpio a lot today. This is an M with an arrow on the end representing the sting of the scorpion. Sagittarius is the centaur, so this is the arrow that the centaur is aiming into the heavens. Capricorn, the sea goat or the mountain goat or the wild goat. It's a V with an S on the end, so I'm not sure why that glyph is that shape. And Aquarius, the air sign, is like lightning bolts of energy. They do look a bit like waves as well. So some people think that Aquarius is a water sign, but it's not, it's an air sign. So those are called the glyphs of the signs of the zodiac. And as I was mentioning earlier, this is the first house. Then we go anti-clockwise around the wheel, second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house, sixth house. Then we go opposite the first house to the seventh house, and we go round opposite the second to the eighth, opposite the third to the ninth, opposite the fourth to the 10th, opposite the 11th to the 5th, and then opposite the 12th to the 6th. So those are the houses. And when you have a birth chart reading, you look at whether you're a day, I look at whether you're a day sect, if you're born with the sun above the horizon, like in this chart here, the sun, this is the horizon line, the eastern horizon where the sun rises, your ascendant. So this would be a day sect chart because the new moon is happening at 12:46, just after midday. So that would mean certain things like certain planets are helpful to you, such as Jupiter would be on your team, so would the sun, and so would Saturn. And unhelpful planets or more challenging planets for you if you're born in the day would be Mars. If you're born at night with the sun under the horizon, Mars is helpful to you, as is Venus and the moon. and Saturn would be, more challenging for you. So anyway, that's just a little bit of extra astrology insight for those that are interested. I digressed. Right, here we go again, Pisces. Welcome, Pisces. This is your astrological new moon in Scorpio. Short delineation or interpretation. We can see that the new moon in Pisces is at 9 degrees 35 minutes in the 9th house. So this house is really, it was called the house of God in ancient astrology, or the joy of the sun, related to solar figures. So in ancient times, solar figures would have been royalty, kings, priests, those sort of things, people that made decisions. It can also be related to things like judges, gurus, leaders, people that have an influence or make decisions, perhaps like in court situations. It's also the house of the higher mind, as in book publishing, sending out ideas widely. It's about belief systems, spirituality, philosophy, religion, pilgrimage. It's those sort of topics. So for you, Pisces, it may be that you are about to embark on a new belief system. You may be trying a new way of finding your sense of self and where you fit in the world, or it may represent new travel in the future, or new higher educational studies, because it's the house of the higher mind. And anything that you may start during this darker moon, maybe in a couple of days when the light starts to build, we can think about ideas, but there's dark sky, then there's no light to actually bring this to any sense of energy. After a couple of days, you could plant these seeds of new ideas, and they may come to some sense of movement around the full moon in 2 weeks' time, but most likely around the 12th of May 2025, when there is a full moon in Scorpio. So that's something that you can contemplate, Pisces. And let's look at the rulers of the Scorpio moon. We've got Mars, the ancient ruler, at the anaretic degree of Cancer. So Mars is in opposition from the house of the joy of Venus, the house of pleasures, creativity, romance, fun, sex, entrepreneurship, children. Mars is in a sensitive position because he's in fall. He's in the opposite house of exaltation. So Mars in Cancer has to work hard, and his energies and assertions can become quite emotional and volatile and depleting on occasion, very changeable, because he is in the temple of the moon. The moon rules Cancer. So the energies of Mars can be very changeable, very sensitive, very emotional, very protective of home and family and security. So there could be, or you may have been experiencing some energies around conflict in these topics that I just mentioned, 5th house topics. And Mars will be spending more time in this area of your life, giving you an opportunity to revisit these topics when Mars retrogrades back on the 8th of January to the 2025. And again on the 15th of January of April 2025, because Mars will be going into Leo and retrograding back. And at the time of this new moon, Mars is in opposition to Pluto at 29 degrees Capricorn, the anaretic degree, 44 minutes. So Pluto is in the house of Jupiter's joy. So these are benefic houses. Venus's joy is the 5th house. Jupiter's house is the 11th house, about your long-term wishes, your goals, and it could be related to your network groups and community groups and friendship groups. So Pluto is at the last push here, purging out, getting rid of, releasing, ending, cutting away, and starting again, purifying. So you may be changing these long-term goals because you've had Pluto here for 15 years, or you may be ending some group relationships that you've outgrown that no longer resonate with you and your long-term plans. So these are the topics that are prevalent for you, Pisces. So thank you very much for listening. So thank you again. If you've listened to my first video, there is an introduction to the chart of the heavens and some talk about Samhaine and honouring our ancestors at this Halloween. But thank you for listening to this new moon in Scorpio. I hope it's helpful. And we basically have choices that we make in how we respond. You know, in the mundane astrology, there's lots of volatile energies out there, but we can be responsible, and we are responsible to choose how we react to these things. You know, it's not just about what you say, it's about what you do. And we, at this time of this tender, deep, passionate Scorpio new moon, we can focus in on the grand trine energies that are going between Mercury, the communications, to Neptune about faith and hope for the future, spiritual ideas, trust in something bigger than ourselves from the earthly realm. And also that trine goes to Mars. So we've got the water trine, and we've got these kite aspects, the sextiles, going off from all those energies too. So thank you so much for listening. Get in touch if you'd like a private reading. Leave a comment below. And thank you if you have hung in there and listened to part 1, and part 2 is this one. So thank you. I am only human. I have got Neptune and Mercury getting like totally, I'm making excuses, astrological excuses now. But yeah, Neptune has been transited in my chart by Mercury and Scorpio. So maybe that's just making things really, really nebulous. And I'm just feeling things quite intensely, but it doesn't always come out how I intend. But if I do personal birth chart readings, I spend hours of preparation beforehand, and I am not as scatty. So thank you very much. Bye for now.